Consistency is my middle name. So let's talk about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I know I got to talk about like a bunch of stuff that has come out. I've actually been catching up on movies lately, so I have a few things I do want to talk about. But first, I'm just itching to talk about what really stood out to me in Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. It's a brand new MCU film, and I just got to add to that, meaningless algorithm out there of more MCU film reviews that definitely the internet needs more of. So I'm totally here to deliver my thoughts that are so needed about the MCU, because it's not like any freaking reviewer is doing MCU stuff, It's not like that's a thing. Because I did genuinely love this movie, and I'm not I've grown up with the MCU. I've grown up with the MCU since I was 12 years old. 11. No, actually, I was 11. It was 11. Actually, no, I'm wrong again. Hang on, let me go back, rewind a little bit. I was 8 years old when I got into the MCU for the first time because we rented Iron Man at Blockbuster, and then years later I saw the Avengers as an 11-year-old, and then I was like, what? They're all connected. So then I went back and been an MCU fan ever since. I'm now 21 years old, about to be 22. It's still going strong for the most part. I mean, I do run into that category now of fans that think, hey, I think the MCU is a little bit here and there, hit and miss at the moment with Phase 4, but lately, since No Way Home, I think they've started picking up their stride again and doing really good with the shows as well. But I'm not a diehard fan of all the movies. I definitely don't think they're all perfect, even one of those being the first Doctor Strange. I did not love the first Doctor Strange. It was one of those movies that I thought really could have been expanded upon and really done deeper and a little more chaotic, a little more crazy. They could have gotten a little more weirder with it. And I don't think they really went as bonkers, balls to the wall, crazy, Doctor Strange, magical insanity. I don't think they really dived into those subjects as much as they could have in the first movie. That could have really engrossed us into the world of Doctor Strange more. I actually found the story of Doctor Strange's introduction rather captivating and interesting. I just thought the direction and the plot and the story ran into some generic hiccups that ultimately made it for a blander experience than I would have wanted. And I think Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness really picks up on the good things that happened in the first Doctor Strange and elevates them in this one, bringing in a whole new flavor. And that's really because of Sam Raimi. I'll get into Sam Raimi in a second. I'm not going to give any spoilers away because I kept my head out of spoilers. As a matter of fact, if you haven't for some reason seen any trailers for this movie, don't watch them. Don't go in expecting a crazy, awesome, multiversal crossover film. It's not that. It is a Doctor Strange sequel and a sequel to other events that have been going on and some other stuff that I can't really give away. The movie moves straight into the plot and it has a great pace to it. I won't give anything away because I think it will be better if you watch it as a surprise. But I really enjoy how this film does some similar elements to stuff like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, where you get introduced to Doctor Strange and it feels like you're watching him live amongst the citizens. You feel like you're watching him live an average day. He gets up, puts his tie on. You just get kind of this bit of slice of life feeling with him before kind of getting introduced to what his character is going through and what's been going through his mind. And I really enjoyed that introducing factor of it. It really captivated me into the character more than I was interested in him before. And I really appreciated it doing that. There's a conversation that happens at the beginning of this movie that I'm not going to give away, but I like where it went for a second because it does dive into that guilt aspect of the character of Doctor Strange. It's funny, him and Tony Stark, I think, resemble each other a good bit, so I think that's why they butt heads, is because they're kind of similar, because I do think Doctor Strange does carry this heavy toll, and I like of guilt for some heroic actions taken in previous films. And I like how this film kind of explored that. And it is kind of a subtle through line throughout this movie that really expanded on the depth of his character right now in ways that I really appreciated and I think needed for him. Oh my God, I haven't even gotten into Elizabeth Olsen. Elizabeth Olsen is fantastic in this movie. She really gives, I think, the best performance I've seen from her in the MCU to date. I really loved her in this film. I loved WandaVision for the most part. I did not like the end of that show, but I appreciated that we got to explore more time with Wanda in this one and really get more time to let her shine a bit more. Like we get to enjoy more of that Elizabeth Olsen deeper character that we've been getting since, I think, Civil War. I'm glad they brought her back in this movie to shine a bit more, and I think it was needed for her as well. Now, right to get into the filmmaking. The filmmaking is where this movie means business. Sam Raimi comes back. Sam Raimi is one of my favorite directors. He's actually one of the directors that has inspired my love for film. I think he's one of those guys, man, that he throws his style, he throws his personality on the camera every time he brings his entire self to the frame. He does that again here with Multiverse of Madness in so many different and cool, unique ways, especially with the action sequences in this movie, the freaking magic fights. Oh my god. This movie, again, gives exactly what I wanted from the first Doctor Strange with the magical combat. And I think it really elevates the head trippy sequences, bring this nice horror element that was missing in Doctor Strange's world, that I'm so glad we have now, because I kind of want to live in this world. This is now one of my favorite universes in the MCU, because Sam Raimi brings a new energy to it that really makes the magical element shine so much, especially with Doctor Strange and Wanda Maximoff. I think their powers are really put on display in a cool way here that hasn't been seen before in the MCU, and it was so refreshing, and it felt so Sam Raimi, to a point where I did not care that if the movie felt kind of disconnected from the MCU. I did not care, because I think the style really elevated this movie to a whole new level that goes above and beyond just the MCU formula. As a sequel, it does exactly what it should do in expanding upon Doctor Strange's character. It does exactly what it should do in expanding upon really great direction. The camera work is insane. The action is insane. The character depth in general is expanded upon in ways that I really appreciated. This movie hits on a lot of subtle or deep levels that I can't get into without spoilers, so I won't, but I really appreciated the emotional heart at the center of this film, and it really did bring it home to make it one of the most rewatchable MCU movies to date for me. I've seen it twice now. I'm going to go see it a third time with my friend at some point. I'm in love with this movie, man. It did exactly what I wanted to do for a new MCU film, especially one directed by one of my favorite directors, Sam Raimi. The dude's a king, man. Like, I cannot wait to see what he does next. I can't wait to see what Doctor Strange does next. So yeah, this movie rocks. Go watch it. Excited to talk about more stuff. I gotta talk about Nick Cage as well, because that movie was special.